Hello, hello. Good afternoon on this beautiful, crisp, kind of refreshing, cool day. Both of us are in our pink, and we didn't even call each other to tell each other to wear pink, but we just did it. When you walked in, yours is more like a
I think of it as
creamy, but it has a pink look, at least next to mine. But yeah, when you walked in, I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. But we both look great in pink and cream.
That's right.
So
it's a nice winter color in Florida. And we did talk about how pink was all the rage.
That is true, at least for holiday decor. So we are all ready for that holiday decor.
So we put that to the test. I did go to Hobby Lobby because I needed Christmas decor.
Yes, you called me.
I know. I was on the phone with you, and I'm like, holy crap.
It's true.
Yeah. The trees are all covered in frost and like snow. The decor was pink.
There you go.
It was
Hobby Lobby knows. They watched our podcast and immediately got it all.
Yeah, the next day they went out there and put all that stuff out there. But yeah, it was interesting to see that all kind of.
Yep. I'm sure a lot of people put up their holiday decor, at least it looked like on Facebook and Instagram. Maybe not everyone.
I did mine early.
Okay, you did. Yeah, you already did your holiday decor early? Okay.
I did my tree.
This is usually the weekend, after Thanksgiving, day of, all this weekend is when they put it, most people put it up and start listening to Christmas music.
This is the first year of my life that it was up before Thanksgiving. And I was like, I got to do this while I'm in the mood or it will never happen.
Right. Yeah, so we did ours yesterday on Sunday. Not 100% finished, but that's because I have to put the finishing touches on for the holiday party.
That's right.
Parties, I should say. So yes, hosting the office party and BNI party at my house, which I don't know why I said yes, but I did.
I'll pay you back. I'll do it 1 year. Don't worry.
When you get your house, yeah.
I know.
All right. So if anyone's on, I'd love to hear how your holiday decorating went this past weekend, or if you're still decorating or you're a curmudgeon, and you're not going to.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie. Tell us all about your decor, and did you pink it out and, follow the cool new ways of decorating, or did you go with traditional? So
that article made me go very traditional, just for the record. Like it was red, silver, gold, green, like very traditional.
Definite tradition. Yeah, we have a traditional tree, and then we have my fun, like silver and gold and blue tree with a little touches of red. Just
the most
I
unconventional
love blue.
thing were these little Grinch. Like Sebastian is super into the Grinch,
which is great movies. I should say. You're I'm done.
I'm so tired of the Jim Carrey version of the Grinch.
I love it. Whatever.
Really? Well, you can
Mason
come watch it 3 times a day with him.
That's all right. I don't have to watch it that much, but we did watch Home Alone again last night and just got a great chuckle.
We turned that on. He was not as interested in that.
Yeah. When they get a little older, like Mason loves to watch it every year. He could probably, there we go. Jackie says traditional. Yeah.
I'm with you, Jackie.
She wasn't changed or moved by the pink. I bet I know.
Buying all new stuff.
Yeah, I get it. Then that's why I go with you want to buy a couple different, especially with, children. They want, especially the younger ones, they might want something that represents what they're into. Mine would be Pokemon.
I know.
We have like airplanes from that time when he was Mason Airplane. We have, we have all of them from our travels. We have all the little family ones that we used to get at the Micanopy Art Festival or Fall Festival, which we didn't go to. We haven't gone to in a couple years. Got a little crazy. Remember, like how busy they got. Anyways, so yeah, I would say we have some Disney ones because he was really into going to Disney all the time. So yeah. Oh, Jackie's going to have a white Christmas, a real white Christmas.
You. Gross.
Going home to Montreal.
That sounds so cold and awful, but I'm glad that you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll stay in Florida and think of you on the
Bring
beach.
back some snow in a little bottle and, we'll enjoy it. Just kidding. It'll melt the second you land in Florida.
Yeah. If they let you fly
But she loves
border.
that. I guess when you're from that and you're away from it, it's great to go home for family, see the snow. She's probably only going to be there for like a week or two. So
that's a long time. I mean, my face,
a week.
Skin
that's
and
not
all
a
that
long time.
It is in the snow. That's a long time.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe she'll tell us Montreal is not as dry as like the West Coast. Maybe it's more, humid. The humid cold is really cold, though.
I would prefer to be on a beach
I have
somewhere.
family in Michigan, and they all say that Florida cold is way colder than Michigan cold, even though they have snow. And that somebody texted her is laughing. But basically, that it's way colder here because it's that wet cold and not the dry cold. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've chatted enough. How about we go into that Monday market moment?
Sounds good. We're back.
We're back. Here we go.
So we're going to take a look at Alachua and Marion first. Active so far. Yeah. December. I'm sorry.
We're not December yet. Next week, girl. Next week.
Like flusterbugged over here. November 1st through the 28th, you have 96 active for Alachua County.
All right, let's pause. Right?
Paused.
You're at 96 active. So that's still about, 40 a week active that are newly active, I would say. Obviously, they go off the market. We've sold. Have your number?
138.
So I'm going to say, I think Alachua County homes are still affected by low inventory.
I
much
agree.
more so than other areas.
I want to get into this actually after we talk.
So
we'll go through these. But I had a great conversation with a lender also.
All right, let's talk about that. We're going to focus a little bit on Alachua County because I think this is really important. So everybody's talking about how now they're seeing open houses, broker opens, more work to get a house sold. We went from, it was like so the month of November has been, or I guess you could say the year to date, the average days on the market went as low as 30. And we're talking about average all of Alachua County. Well, we're back up to 45, almost 50 days on the market. We were up to a little over 50 a couple of months ago, but that's still pretty low days on the market because back before sort of this craziness of everything.
Right.
It was 60 to 90 was low, and it was really 90 to 160 days on the market. And I remember even when we got into real estate before, it was up to,
8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of realtors have always continuously, when you go on the market, they ask for 6 months because marketing works within that 6 month period. But also, if you're on there, you need that marketing that you're doing, especially the online marketing, to really pick up speed. And so now we're back in that market where it's taking a little bit longer to sell a house. And it's not just throwing your house on the market. Yay, there's thousands of buyers. No, there's less buyers, unless, of course, you're priced right and you're in that type of home and neighborhood that is cookie cutter, everybody wants. So
okay,
I found that interesting.
And on our huddle this morning with the Rabell Realtors, and if you're on here, agents, feel free to comment. But they were talking about how many people are looking at new homes as they come on the market, but they're watching. But I did have a good conversation with Eric Remy from Landmark yesterday, who we love. They do great loans, their whole team.
He's been on here before.
Yes, and he's great. And we should probably have him back on here to explain some of the buy downs. But anyways, I was having a good conversation with him, and I've talked with other people that I trust and have good knowledge of the market. And I always like to ask, what do you think's happening with the market? 99% of the people that I talk to are like, Florida is different right now because they've reelected DeSantis by a landslide.
Right.
We don't have an income tax.
Right.
We're desirable to move to because it doesn't snow. It's not cold. We have generally pleasant weather. Yes, there's the risk of
hurricanes.
Right.
But
those
killed the side.
Right.
Yeah. Or coasts. Right.
Sometimes it just needs a refresh.
But Gainesville's not privy to that as much as the coastlines.
So they felt like due to low inventory and high demand that we were going to see maybe a little bit of a price decrease in some markets of Florida as a whole, but the areas that you were going to see more homes come on the market and more price drops were probably secondary home markets. So where people do Airbnbs, vacation rentals, because that market has become incredibly saturated.
Right.
And I've been watching certain ones. There's some that I'm like, they never have anything come on. But there are others that I have noticed an uptick in. And the reason I can identify them is turnkey, comes furnished, great rental, turnover or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I am noticing more secondary places coming on the market. I don't know if that has to do with the general overall economy. So I think in Florida, if you're going to snag a deal anywhere, it's going to be in those types of markets. But I think in Gainesville, you might see like a 10% adjustment, but I don't think you're going to see these homes coming down substantially, except for, and I will make an exception, national builders who are dumping their inventory for the end of the year, which is
right now.
Normal thing.
And so when we get back into the next year, they're going to raise their prices again, and they're not going to give as much away because they don't want to. They have all this.
Well, instead of building 30,000 homes, they'll build 18,000, and there'll be less for them to have to worry about selling.
Exactly.
But they're already strategizing for the market next year,
and they've already done a lot of their drops, and they're continuing to. But once that ends, once they get all of those out, they're not going to drop them anymore. And like you said, they're going to build less.
Most of the lenders that we've spoken with, especially those at Landmark, shout out to Landmark, and advisors, I'll give advisors a shout out. They think that the interest rates will go back up through the spring, but peak and start to come back down in that third quarter time frame, which if that happens, I believe you're going to have a bottleneck of people that are trying to buy everything in sight, which is going to keep prices up.
It's going, so it's going to continue exactly what we've been through before. And we've kind of talked about this, and, Eric is just, Landmark and advisors are just like also expecting this to happen. We just have such low inventory still, especially in Alachua County, that once rates really go back down, we're not going to have enough inventory, so it's going to go back to the craziness. And they're not going to need to go
down to like 3%. I think if you get them back down to the fives. Right.
Yeah, even the fives, right.
I think the fives
they did just drop a little, and that helped a couple people be able to push forward to close before the end of the year for tax purposes. But let's get back. So one thing, I want to say something that you said. So I am selling a house to a buyer who's coming from South Carolina, and they're desperately wanting to get out. And I learned something that I find is interesting. So what Florida also does not have is that there are taxes similar to property taxes on cars, on vehicles in South Carolina. So you have to pay taxes every year, and they're paid in the front, not in arrears. So you have to pay them before the end of the year for the next year, for the following year.
It's not like our registration fee. It's like an actual.
It's very similar to property taxes because they see them the same way, right? So that's very interesting. So a lot of people also came to Florida to get away from that. I know there are people like the people I'm working with right now that are coming here to get out of South Carolina. Now, South Carolina is one of the roughest states. It is one of the poorest states. There's a lot of crime. There's a lot of poverty there. So they're also trying to just get to a better life to come to Florida. And but it's super expensive because you have to pay for property taxes and for your vehicle taxes. And if you have more than one vehicle and you're a small family, not making a lot of money, that's really, really heavy on people. And then the other thing about Airbnbs, or short-term rentals, because Airbnb is like saying Kleenex for tissues. Yes, this has been talked about a lot. The saturation has what brought everything down. We are actually looking for end of the year, sort of up in the mountain area. There are so many properties still available. And it's because now, if you have a beautiful property on the mountain with a lake nearby, you're going to get big money for that, and it's going to be rented. But I've seen things like that. They're either renting them too high, and people are sick of paying these overpriced prices, right? Gouging prices. And then there's so many out there still available for dates. So they can't get them rented. So, and then, the economy is changing. And now they're realizing, well, this whole short-term rental thing. Also, I think the normal person who got into it because they saw this profit, not like a realtor or someone who's always done, investments and things. They're realizing it's a lot of work.
I am a realtor, and I can tell you it's a lot of work on my own. I hate it sometimes.
Right. And yours are local, mine are not. So that makes it even harder. But yes, I've heard a lot of people complain about how difficult it is. And unless it's next door to them or attached to their house, a lot of people are getting out of it because they're just getting too tired of it. And luckily, a lot of them are not taking it off the market and selling it. So again, low inventory. They're renting it full time rather than the short term because that still makes the money. So it's not coming back on the market, but the onslaught, so many Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rentals are that phase has gone away.
Yeah. I was just going to say one thing about South Carolina. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is taxation makes it unaffordable to live places. I just want all the Gainesvillians to think about that next time we're voting. And you enjoy those property tax bills.
Wow, we have talked a lot. All right, let's get into. Okay. We've got two. Do you want to take a break at 2:15 and come back?
Either that, or I could just run through these.
We can run through, but I have those days on the market also.
Okay.
So
all right,
go ahead. Run through them, and I'll just say what they are.
All right, Marion County was 389 active, 305 sold. What's their average?
Their days on the market is a little further, or a little more than. So they are actually in the 120 day on the market.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're
pretty good.
And then Hillsborough is also very similar.
Yeah.
At that 120, it's like having to pull it up
So new listings in Hillsborough, 141. Price reductions or price drops, 188. Sold, 137. Back on the market, 65. Price increases, 16.
And what you saw in these last two is that they have more new listings than sold, which is opposite from Gainesville, which has more sold than new listings. So again, or Alachua County, I should say, Alachua County is still suffering from low inventory. Still sales are happening, but low inventory, which is why we're still in that 50-day, 45-day, but on the market days on the market until it goes under contract. But these two locations are a lot higher.
Repeat, Hannah, now is the time to buy. Sorry, my sister's been looking for a house for like 3 years, so maybe longer. I can't remember.
All right, so let's take a break. We'll come back with all the updates and the myths of selling real estate.
Welcome to the small town of Alachua, with a population of nearly 10,000 residents and a sparse suburban feel. Alachua has an average age of 35, making it a great community for young families with a variety of activities, such as Alachua Recreation Center, Splash Park, San Flasco State Park, and seasonal festivals. Alachua is zoned for Irby Elementary, Alachua Elementary, Mabane Middle School, and Santa Fe High School. Downtown Alachua is home to shops and restaurants, as well as the City Hall and a local police department. Neighborhoods such as Windswept Hills, Heritage Oaks, Turkey Creek, Savannah Station, and more are all located just 16 miles from Gainesville. Please visit buysellrebell.com to search for your new home in Alachua.
All right, and we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. That was a long, half of our podcast talk about the market, but the market is really interesting. It's changing.
It's important to talk about.
Yes, and it's very important. So we will run through all the fun things coming up and then get into our myths of real estate. All right, so Light of Tioga was rescheduled. It's actually for yesterday, but now it's rescheduled for December 11th. So if you missed it and really wanted to go, you have next Sunday, December 11th, 4 to 8. That is next Sunday, right?
No,
in 2 weeks.
This is, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yep. So you've got 2 weeks, and then our Light the Village.
The Light the Village, I'm glad it's not on the same night because that's always no fun.
It's usually on the same night, and that really stinks for both of them. But they were smart to change it.
Yes. So Light the Village, December 9th, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Come by our office, say hi, meet the lenders of Landmark. I believe they will be there.
Yes, and our realtors.
Our realtor team.
And enjoy the Light the Village event all through the village.
Santa will be there.
Yeah. And probably cookies and milk.
Yes.
And a little train for the kiddos. Mm-hmm. All right. So you saw this on the news, the Florida Horse Park.
Yes. So Florida Horse Park has a 1.8 mile Christmas light show. They have little food trucks and different things there that you can, eat at. It looks super fun. Great event for the kids. But, and I didn't send this to you guys, and I'm so sorry. WEC. World Equestrian Center
has even bigger.
They have over 1 million lights, and I think that's so exciting. So their facility is really nice, and I feel really bad for Florida Horse Park because it is clear from the article that I read that they are competitors. I don't know anything about Ocala, horse farms, or anything, or whatever these are, facilities, but it was pretty clear from the articles that they were competitors. WEC also has the North Pole Cafe. Santa is there. And lots of activities for the children is what they said. So you have two things pretty close. I MapQuested. I Googled this.
Wow, you use MapQuest still?
I know. I talked to my mom, and she always is MapQuest this and MapQuest that. We love you, Karen. Stay, Karen.
That's a dinosaur, but hey.
I know. So anyways, I did look it up from Gainesville. You're looking at like
not far at all.
40-minute drive.
Yep. And same from Tampa also if you're coming up. It's about the same as well, maybe 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So this is a great middle of the road for both of them, although Tampa has a lot of great events for Christmas, for the holidays. Gainesville's a little smaller, so it doesn't have as much, although Town of Tioga is always a great place if you need to stay local to take your kids.
Yeah, they do like petting zoos and stuff, but nothing.
Town of Tioga is just not.
They did. They had a petting zoo.
Okay.
But Light the Village is the one to attend.
Yeah.
Because we're there.
Well, I'm talking about just like random night of the week. You can go to Town of Tioga, but this is not random. It's like every single weekend or every evening, and the WEC event is also continuous.
Yes. Now WEC only goes up until, I believe, Christmas Eve. This one will go all the way till the end of December.
I mean, you also have St. Augustine, which we don't highlight anymore, but they have their,
if you can get parking, that place
lights.
is such a madhouse.
Or you can get on you can pre-book one of the little boats. That's really fun, and they sing Christmas carols, and then you get to see the lights, and you don't have to park down there.
Yes.
So yeah.
True.
All right. Well, those are the events coming up. Do we want to skip this or go through it?
The Goonie House is listed if you like the Goonies. I know that's an iconic movie from the 80s, but I don't really care. I don't really find that movie interesting.
Movie. Oh, I love that movie.
I know. I'm the only one that's like...
You didn't watch it when you were younger, though.
I didn't.
I
watched it when I was older.
Yeah, it's hard when you're older because you're like, what is this weird movie? But when you were younger and watched it, that was a great movie.
Ugh,
sorry. So there it is. I recognize it. It looks a lot cleaner, though, and a lot, more like Florida Home or something.
This one I was more excited about.
So A Christmas Story house was listed. It says confidential. So I read a separate article, which we'll bring up. But I don't really know if this is truly listed when I come into it because of the confidential.
It sounds like a make me move.
So when he bought it in 2004, this current owner bought the house on eBay, and it came with, and it was not like decorated like A Christmas Story. Well, I don't know exactly all the story of it, but he did redecorate it, refurbish it to look like the Christmas Story movie. And then, getting that stand, that leg, the fragile lamp, which you can kind of see.
Yeah, there's another picture.
Right, there's another picture with it. And then there's a museum, and there's there's like 4 lots that go with all of this. He put it on the market, but I think it really was more of it's a gimmick.
Right.
And then one of the actors, Yano Anaya, who was one of the annoying kids that beat him up. I forget his name.
The picture, he's got a picture.
You wouldn't know his name. The picture can come up. This guy now and a couple people tried to pool their money together to buy it because they wanted to buy this museum and then really keep this going on. Well, as you can see here, the owner flipped out on the actor outside the home. You can actually go online, watch the video. I mean, it's humorous. It's weird. We don't really know what's going on. If you read it, that's why I'm not really sure if it was truly for sale or if these guys went to go try to buy it and it caused this going out on the market to be for sale because they were trying to start a GoFundMe to raise the money or have investors to go buy it from this one guy. And then the guy got really mad and now he's calling him a scam artist and a kook and a crazy person. So
he is an actor. It probably is all true.
It's really funny though. I have to say this. He was maybe our height and the other guy was 4 times his size. So they're fighting and he looked like a little kid still. And the owner's just screaming at him. I mean, it's not funny to watch anybody. Yeah, it's a tradition. I mean, every year you'll shoot your eye out, but this came out just yesterday or today, and we were going to post that the house is for sale. But again, I don't really think it's for sale. I think it's just all this gimmick to get all this excitement. Yeah. So is it really for sale? I don't know.
Who cares?
All right. We don't have a lot of time, so let's get into home selling myths. And I think this is the seller version.
Okay.
All right. They always say going with the first buyer is never a good idea. When you're a listing agent, you hear this, I don't want to take the first buyer. Why would I do that? I want my house to be on the market for forever. What you say, Rebecca?
Usually your first offer is your best offer because those are the people that jumped on it immediately. The next people are either watching it or...
Now, granted, it always have to do with the market. So during the crazy market, you had 50 offers and sometimes your last ones, but they were still all in the same period. You're not holding on for 2 weeks for all of those offers. All of those 50 offers or whatever, it's an exaggeration for some, but I had listings. I had at least one of them had 50. So I could say maybe the average was 15 from my listings. Average was 15 during the craze. But they all came in within 2 or 3 days of each other. So, and a lot of them came up in price, but most of them were putting really good offers on. But in a general, normal, everyday market, your first offer is really not a bad offer. It's usually...
to work with. It's the start of the conversation.
The start of the conversation. So it doesn't mean to ignore it and wait for a better one, because the longer you wait on the market, the more suspicious buyers can become, and then you tend to get lower and lower offers.
My only caveat is this, is if they haven't actually been in the house yet,
right,
I don't always feel good about the first one.
100% true also. Now, granted, a lot of realtors, there's areas, it's all location based. So if you're in St. Augustine, where most buyers are buying that second home, right, or that vacation home, they're not going to see it. And now with the advent, like really using the internet for buying, there are buyers who, when they buy their houses, they always buy them without looking. If it's that kind of buyer, and you know the history from the buyer's agent, or you're the buyer's agent, and that's how they bought the house, every other house they've had, then that's fine. But it is very hard as a listing agent to believe that the buyer is going to be interested without having seen the house. So you want to find that information. Your realtor will know that. We'll get that for you. But the myth is debunked. First buyer is good. It's a good idea to start the conversation. All right.
If the first buyer's offer is good, it should go up to my should I up my asking price?
No. That means you were priced right. If your first buyer's offer is good, that means you were priced right. They want to buy your house. Let's move forward, even if there's some negotiating. Don't question your price or your realtor's price or whoever came up with it. Usually it's a symbiotic relationship. Both of you came up with it together. Move forward with that, because if you decide not to go with that and you put your house on the market at a higher price, you run the risk, and it's a big risk more often than not, than not getting an offer now, and you're sitting there, and then you end up getting offers lower than that first buyer's offer. Who was good? That was good. That was not a low ball. Right?
I agree.
All right. An open house is a must for selling quickly.
I disagree. Typically, you want to give time for the marketing to kick in. Mm-hmm. So it typically is going to take anywhere from 3 days to 14, depending, in my opinion, where you're located. The further you are out from, I'm going to use Gainesville as an example. But if you're on High Springs, Alachua, Newberry side, it takes a little longer for buyers to reach out to your area. When we were doing a lot in High Springs, it was typical 10 to 14 days before buyers were really starting to get interested in the property. So to me, an open house is best on that third weekend.
Yep, on that third weekend. And there's also numbers out there. I mean, they change again with the market, but 1% of buyers buy that house in the open house. It's just a great way to open a difficult house to get into. So if there's, if you have children, if you have animals, and you work different hours and you just can't have a lot of showings, those are the best ones to have the open house. That vacant house that's super easy to get into, your agent doing an open house might not do much for it, but it could open it up at that time on the weekend when people are getting out of church, or they're just out and about, they're not working, and then now they have time to go see it. So it doesn't hurt, but it does not mean it's a must for selling quickly. Include wiggle room in the asking price when listing.
I mean, this is kind of ambiguous to me. Like,
me too.
how much wiggle room? Mm-hmm. Do you list it at your rock bottom? It depends on your circumstances, but do you list it at what the market value is? Yes. So I guess this is a little...
So, yeah, I think when we go in with a CMA, a comparative market analysis, you're giving a range. You're not an appraiser. You're giving a range. And even if you have an appraiser, the appraiser is just appraising it based off of other values, right? The values around the area. So if you have a range and you've done enough to your house to put it in that great range, you can list it slightly higher, but we're not talking a lot higher. Listing it a slightly higher doesn't hurt, but you don't want to list it outside of that market range. Otherwise, you're just going to sit there. So really, it all has to do with time. If you want to sell quickly and get out and move on, then list it at the market price and don't worry about that. The person, you'll find out if your house is worth the sale with that first offer, especially if it's quick. All right. Selling without an agent can save you money.
Not as much as it can cost you. Yes and no, I suppose. I would say that selling without an agent, especially a Rabell agent, will cost you money, because who's going to negotiate on your behalf? Who's going to make sure you're on track for inspections, that escrows were in fact turned in and collected, that paperwork is being done, that the banker... who's cracking that whip on that banker? Mm-hmm. So it could, if closing is delayed, you have to remember it does cost you money. You've got taxes, insurance, all these things that are prorated, your mortgage payment. So the longer it goes, if you're trying to facilitate and do all of these things that are not your normal job, it is in fact costing you money in the end. You might also underprice your home, which would be another way that you would see that it would cost you money. So to me, having an agent saves you money. On the buyer side, I mean, you have somebody that's doing a lot of the legwork for you. So,
and also, like you said, negotiating for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, yes, using an agent is probably the better way to go in terms of saving money. Also, we find that people, sellers and buyers, if they get in front of each other or they are for sale by owning, they are not really great negotiators for themselves. They're sort of giving things away. Builders also do this when they don't have their agent with them, and that if you get in front of them. And we find a lot of realtors who want to use another realtor to sell their own house so they don't get in their own way. So if even realtors are hiring another realtor, maybe in their office or outside of their office to sell their house, then you probably want someone else negotiating for you so you don't accidentally negotiate too much off of your plate. So yeah. And then home values listed online are accurate.
They're not.
Nope. There's a lot of features that can change the value of the home. And if you are in an area where there's a lot of different homes, home prices, home sizes, home styles, what they are doing is pulling the average of everything together. And so it may raise your price a lot, your average value, or lower your price a lot. So you really want to have your agent go in and do a good comparative market analysis for you to hone that down. Now, they might be really close to that online value, and that might be because you're in a neighborhood where everything is very similar. I would say, the neighborhoods where there's similar builders, every house is similar age, right? So like a Longleaf in Gainesville. Mm-hmm. You're going to find that might be a little more accurate than like Turkey Creek that has all sorts of houses in there.
Or Hale Plantation.
Or Hale Plantation, exactly. So they're not accurate. Call your realtor for a CMA. Do you want to read that one? Or
renovations are key to getting a good price.
So this is one of those, like, depending on what renovation. So I think this is something we've always told people, Rebecca, is that, do I have to renovate my entire kitchen to sell my house and get a good price?
Not necessarily. It depends on what's common in your neighborhood or your price point for the area that you're in. Again, real estate is local.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you want your house to be valued at the top values of the houses in your neighborhood that have renovations and have upgrades, maybe replace that roof. But renovations are really updating, things that are like your kitchen, your floors, your bathroom, maybe your
bathtubs. That's like the number one grievance I have is everyone's like, I remodeled my whole house. And then I look in the bathtub and I'm like, it's like a 1980s cream tile that's like 4x4.
So it depends on what renovations you do and what price you're trying to get. A good price is really based off of what you think a good price is.
And I am going to put a caveat on this one as well. Like when you remodel, think about what you're spending on the products. There's a real famous cabinetry company in our area that starts with a B. They're fabulous. But their cabinets are going to be like 4 times what a normal set of cabinets are going to be. Right. So are you going to get dollar for dollar? Probably not. But if it's important for you to have the name brand cabinets and not like the typical new construction style cabinets, go that route.
Now, here's the thing also. When you're living in that house and you need and want to have those renovations, you did it for you.
Correct.
Not to gain that extra price or that higher price. But you may end up selling a little higher than your neighbor who did not renovate. Correct. 3 or 4 years ago. And a renovation 20 years ago doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because a lot of people say, oh, I renovated my house, but you realize it was 20 years ago.
And new HVACs and water heaters are not renovations.
Right. Those are practical, necessary needs for insurance purposes. And so you don't,
for daily use.
Yes. All right. The last one, since we're going over a little bit, is my house will sell itself. Will it? Are you marketing it? Are you putting it not just on Zillow, which is only one site, where the other agents who are looking or buyers who are looking are actually getting the phone numbers of other agents and not you? And so it's so Zillow and all these other sites, for sale by owner sites, you really have to have SEO and things that are driving buyers to your house if they're just on the market. If you have a sign up, some areas are only about 7% of houses sell off of signs. So your agent is probably doing a lot more marketing than you. Plus they have a CRM with way more buyers who might not be current buyers, but could be interested in a house that they're sent because an agent sends them hot new listing, right? Or open house, come and see this house. They're going to get those. What are you doing on that level? This is not your job, right? Your agent's doing this. So your house won't necessarily sell itself except without good marketing. So
Correct.
Rabell Realty Group, we're great marketers, aren't we?
That's right.
So yes, find your agent at Rabell who will market your house better so that you're not sitting around for too long waiting for your house to sell itself. The marketing that your agent is doing is helping sell it. All right.
All right. If you have a property that you do not want to sell, but you do not want to deal with, you can call K&R Property Management. They will be your landlord, leasing agent, accountant, schedule your repairs and maintenance, deal with the city of Gainesville and now Alachua County, deal with all the headaches. Call them at 352-213-6410.
All right. They're growing. All right. If you're looking to get into real estate or wanting to join a team or coming from another area and want to start real estate here, or hey, maybe you're just tired of where you worked before, why don't you give us a call, email us 559-8820 or join at buysellrebell.com and join the awesome realtors here.
That's right. And if you can't get enough of Kristen and Rebecca and the entire Rabell Realty Group crew, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Google My Business.
Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Thank you. And if you want to follow along with the topics we discuss or local real estate or just real estate in general, the market, you can find us in our blog at buysellrebell.com/blog.
And we'd like to thank the Fiesta Media for hosting this podcast and all of our other podcasts. If you would like to have a podcast of your own, please feel free to reach out to them at 352-327-5089.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week. Looking forward to it. Every Monday at 2. Bye.
Bye.